everyone, and welcome back to my channel and to this week's True Crime Spotlight. This week we are covering the case of the disappearance and murder of Matthew Leverson and the man who got away with it. This case is simply heartbreaking and maddening when you know the details, so let's dive in. Matthew John Leveson, referred to by family as Matt, was born on the 12th of December 1986. He is the second son of his parents Mark and Faye. He has an older brother, Peter, and a younger brother, Jason. He was an openly gay man who was loved unconditionally and supported by his family. Matt had been out as gay since around the age of 16. Matthew was described as a dance floor diva, the queen, the prankster, the clown, and the cocktail maker. He was well liked and fun-loving. His favourite colour was purple. Best friend Rachel Sankey said of Matthew, "He had the most amazing, huge and contagious smile. When he smiled, it would just light up the room and you couldn't help but smile too. His personality just captured the entire room. When I think about Maddie, the first thing that comes to mind is laughter and feeling happy and all the wonderful times we had together." Matt was a wonderful young man who had a bright future and a world of possibilities for him. So what happened to Matthew Leveson? Before we get into the sequence of events that occurred, it's important for me to note that in August of 2006, Matt had been reported missing. He hadn't contacted his parents for a week, which was not typical for him. In that time, Matt had moved in with his boyfriend Michael Atkins without telling his parents. He had seen how much this traumatized his parents and promised that he would never do that to them again. In 2007, Matt is a 20-year-old living in Cronulla, Sydney, with his then 45-year-old boyfriend Michael Atkins. Matt and Michael had been living together for the past 12 months. There was a 25-year age difference. The couple had met in 2006 whilst Atkins was working as door security at the Sutherland Sports Club. Matt was working at a call centre Tuesdays to Saturdays and was loved at his job by his co-workers. The couple enjoyed hanging out with Matt's friends, going to the gym, and going to Arc nightclub on Saturday nights. When they went out clubbing, Matt and Michael would take drugs, MDMA and GHB. In fact, they would both sell the drugs whilst at the nightclub. Matt and Michael would typically leave Arc around 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Matt and Michael would take Matt's car and park it near a Coles Express service station close to the Arc nightclub. They took the car for two reasons. Matt's car had a large sound system in his boot that they'd play music on the drive to the club. They'd also store some drugs they'd sell at Arc in the car and come back during the night to restock. So let's move to Saturday, September 22nd, 2007, the night Matthew Leveson disappears. Matt and Atkins arrive at the club around midnight with another friend who is referred to at the inquest as the pseudonym Jack Smith. The couple leave Arc unusually early on the morning of Sunday the 23rd of September between 2:15 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. The Arc CCTV footage shows Matt leaving and it is the last time he is seen alive. The last known contact with someone other than Michael Atkins is to a friend who is given the pseudonym John Burns at the Matthew Leveson inquests. These are the following text messages. 3:03 a.m, Mr. Burns sent Matt a text. "Hey babe, where are you?" 3:20 a.m, Matt replied, "Mike's having a fucking cry. He is taking me home and won't let me stay. Expletives." Mr. Burns replied, "Oh shit, that's not too good." 3:31 a.m, Matt's next and last text was, "He needs to get over himself." 3:32 a.m, Mr. Burns responded, "Oh well, I'm sure you'll be alright." What happened after those texts is still somewhat a mystery. On Tuesday, September 25th, Matt didn't show up for work, so his work colleagues phone his family home to ask if he is okay. Matt's younger brother Jason answered the phone and passed on the message to his mother Faye. Faye then tries to make contact with Matt but is unsuccessful. When Faye asks Atkins where Matt is, he says Matt went out but didn't arrive home by the time Atkins went to work. That afternoon, Faye and Mark go to the police station to report Matthew as missing. Michael Atkins is asked by Peter Leverson to attend and does so that night. When Atkins arrives, he tells police that he and Matt had had a little tiff, a small argument, in relation to leaving Arc early on Sunday morning. Atkins claims that Matt wanted to stay even though he was acting very tired. Atkins says they spent Sunday together, and Matt went out to Ark again Sunday with friends because they'd left so early the night before, and Matt had not returned. On Thursday morning, the 27th of September, Matt's car, a green 1999 Toyota Corolla hatchback, was found at Waratah Oval in Sutherland. The car was located near a public toilet that was known as a gay beat, a place men would meet to have sex. When police look for evidence in the car, they make some interesting discoveries. There was a Bunnings receipt with Atkins' fingerprints in the boot of the car. The speaker system located in the boot was missing. It is discovered that Atkins is familiar with the location the car was found, as he used to operate a vending machine at the basketball stadium at the Oval. Police believe Matt wasn't the person who placed the car at the Oval, and that Matthew Leverson was met with foul play. After discovering the Bunnings receipt, police investigate and actually go to Bunnings. Bunnings is a home and garden hardware store that is very popular here in Australia. Police find that on Sunday the 23rd of September at 12:20pm, Atkins is seen on CCTV footage at Bunnings warehouse in Tarrant Point buying a mattock and duct tape. Michael Atkins is then re-interviewed on the 27th of September. He states Matt wasn't happy about leaving Ark early. Let's take a listen to part of the interview that I was able to find online.
And then Sunday was sort of like fairly normal, and we sort of came home, and then watched Idol on TV, and then I fell asleep on the lounge, watching sort of TV, and woke up a little while later and he wasn't home. So I sent him a text and said, where are you, whatever. And I didn't really worry about it too much because he doesn't work on Mondays.
Yeah.
And he's got a group of friends that he's goes out with.
Mm-hmm. What happened on Sunday? What time did you wake up?
In the afternoon sometime, about 2 o'clock or something. 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And we sort of just had, lazy Sunday afternoon, really.
Did you wake up together?
Yeah, pretty much, I think.
Mm-hmm. You got up?
Yep.
Did you eat?
No. This has, water. Didn't have much, I don't think. And, I think just had some juice. And,
Did Matthew eat?
No.
And then what happened?
We just sort of spent like a lazy day, so sat around the unit. And,
did you leave the unit at all?
I think once or twice.
To go there?
Oh, I think I just left, go for a walk. To the mall.
To
the mall.
What time would that have been?
In the afternoon sometime. I know, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, somewhere.
Okay. So from the time you went to sleep at 5 to the time you wake up at 2, obviously you were in the unit the whole time?
Yep.
And Matthew?
Yeah, I assume so.
To your knowledge?
To my knowledge.
He didn't leave?
Yeah.
And was it the first time you left the unit about 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I think
on
so.
Sunday? To go for a walk down the mall?
Yep.
Did you buy anything?
Don't think so.
Don't think so.
Well, Michael just wished to inform you that earlier today we located a green Toyota Corolla, which is, we understand, is Matthew's car. You understand that?
Yep.
Okay. And that car was found at Waratah Oval in Sutherland. Is there anything you can say about that?
Don't think so.
Is there anything that comes to mind when we tell you that we've located his car at Waratah Oval?
Not really.
The police searched their Cronulla apartment after the interview. The speaker system for Matt's car is found in the garage of the unit. It is then that Michael Atkins refuses to speak to police and retains a lawyer. The 5th of August 2008, whilst at his apartment in Cronulla, Michael Atkins was arrested and charged with the murder of Matthew Leverson. The police also file a report to the coroner, and on August 15, 2008, Deputy State Coroner McMahon opens the inquest. The inquest is suspended so Michael Atkins' trial can take place first. It is then that almost every weekend, Mark and Faye, Matt's parents, go to search for his remains at the Royal National Park. They would use picks and shovels and search until 2 a.m. before returning in the daytime for a better look with the daylight. They were always looking for Matt. On the 3rd of September 2009, the trial into the murder of Matthew Leveson began. It lasted 4 weeks. Atkins remained silent and didn't take the stand. The defence did present witnesses to suggest Matt was still alive and that he had been seen. On the 20th of October, Atkins was acquitted of murder and manslaughter. He had gotten away with the murder of his boyfriend, Matthew Leveson. It would take a further 7 years before the Levinson family would get any real answers. Mark and Faye Leveson wanted the inquest to resume, still desperate to know what happened to their son. On the 1st of September 2010, Deputy State Coroner McMahon declined to resume the inquest, but asked police to keep investigating Matt's death. The Levisons wouldn't accept that and petitioned for the inquest to resume in 2014. They stated that they wanted to know what happened to Matt, where Matt was, and why this happened to their son and brother. The State Coroner tells Deputy State Coroner McMahon on January 16th of 2015 that an inquest into the death of Matt was probably desired and required. The inquest into the death of Matthew Leveson begins in 2015. It was the first time in New South Wales history that a coronial inquest was held after a not guilty verdict was found in the criminal justice system. It wasn't until the following year that Michael Atkins would give evidence. On October 31st through to November 4th, 2016, Atkins finally took the stand to speak about Matt's disappearance and death. The evidence he gave was under protection of the S61 of the Coroners Act 2009, which meant he had the protection of the Coroners Act from police prosecution, but Atkins would still not tell the truth. Michael Atkins, it seems, couldn't keep his lies straight. He maintained that Matt was alive and possibly living in Thailand. There was no evidence to support this. He also maintained his nonsense explanation of why he bought a Matic the day Matthew disappeared. In a tape from a recorded listening device to Mark and Faye, he says that he bought it to make a vegetable garden for Matt outside of the unit. On that same tape, recorded on the 29th of January 2008, Mark and Faye asked Michael if Matt could have overdosed on drugs. Michael says he did not think so because Matt was very careful of his drug doses. Whilst giving evidence, Atkins was asked to speak to the Leverson family. Here is a snippet of that testimony. Counsel assisting. You've never had the chance to say to Mark and to Faye something about losing Matt, have you? Have you ever had that chance? Mr. Atkins. No. Counsel assisting. I'm going to give you that chance now. These are the parents of Matthew Leveson. Their son's dead, and they believe you killed him. What would you like to say? Mr. Atkins. I want to say sorry, I suppose. Counsel assisting. What are you sorry for? Mr. Atkins. Their loss if he's gone. Counsel assisting. The Leveson family believe you killed Matt. Look at the Leveson family and tell them if you killed Matt or not. Mr. Atkins. No, I did not. It is evident in the inquest that on the night of the 22nd, 23rd of September 2007, Matt and Michael weren't getting along. Witnesses noticed this, and noticed Matt avoiding Michael and happily dancing with friends. Atkins says they left the club and went straight home, but evidence suggests they sat in the car for about an hour together and had bought food from the nearby Coles Express service station. Atkins says they have a small tiff, but cannot explain the text messages he sent to Matt that said, "I've said sorry 3 times. He apparently had no recollection of that text or arguing at ARC. Atkins states they left the club because Matt was sleepy. Witnesses Ken Silver and Mr. Burns, both pseudonyms, state that Matt was happily dancing and energetic, not dozy or falling asleep like Atkins states. Further evidence shows that Matt and Michael don't see much of each other for the 2 hours they are at ARC. Here is the text messages presented at the inquest. 1:45 a.m. Mr. Atkins texts Matt, "Where are you? I'm on the balcony with Pete." 2:12 a.m. Mr. Atkins again texts Matt, "Where are you?" After receiving a text from Matt, the contents of which is unknown, he replied, 2:15 a.m. "I said sorry 3 times. I need more jollies. I sold out and oh Steve. 2. I'm near the cloakroom. X." It is shown that Atkins actually returns back to ARC at 3:15 a.m. This information is not known at Michael Atkins' trial, but discovered at the inquest. Atkins claims to have no recollection of going back to the club that night. Things weren't great with Matt and Michael's relationship, as per Matt's work colleague, Carrie-Anne Ward. She testifies at the inquest that Matt was unhappy in the relationship and wanted to end it. Michael was trying to pressure Matt to engage in a 3-way sexual encounter that he was not comfortable with. When Atkins is asked about this by police, he says the idea was Matt's. Matt also told Miss Ward, Mr. Silver, and Mr. Burns that Michael was very controlling and possessive of him, that he felt smothered. Atkins says they were happy and there weren't any problems in their relationship. Michael states about his relationship, "The most I've loved anybody," and it was very loving, very, very close, beautiful really. However, at 1:50 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on the afternoon of the 23rd of September, the day Matt is missing, Atkins contacts 2 young men looking for dates. On several occasions, witnesses saw Michael become physical with Matt. Jason Leverson saw Michael push Matt hard at a family event in Wollongong on the 7th of September 2007. Almost everything that Michael Atkins says is a contradiction. The coroner states this very clearly in the coroner's report for the inquest. There are so many instances that he contradicts and lies about the events that I can't include them all in this video. On the stand, Atkins admitted he lied in court at his trial about when he was with Matthew on the night he disappeared. This is crucial, and DCI Dublin acts fast. Atkins lying means that police are able to then use this to their advantage. Atkins could be charged with perjury as a result and face up to a 10-year sentence, given that he lied under oath. However, Kay and Mark were still without their son's remains and desperate for him to be back with them at home. Police were able to obtain indemnity for Atkins. New South Wales Attorney General Gabrielle Upton agreed to give Atkins an immunity deal if he would lead police to the remains of Leverson. This meant that it protected him from being charged with perjury if he showed police where the body was. No body, no deal. So if the search didn't lead to Matt's body, he would be charged with perjury. On the 9th and 10th of November 2016, Michael Atkins gives an induced statement to police and tells them where he buried Matthew Leverson. Atkins tells police that at the time Matt was manky on drugs, which means he had taken drugs and was drug affected. He drove Matt back home. Matt went to bed and Atkins went and had a cigarette on the balcony before falling asleep on the couch. He woke up at around 9:30 a.m. and found Matt deceased on the floor of their bedroom. Atkins assumed Matt had died of a drug overdose because he saw a container of the drug GHB on the kitchen counter. This is conflicting information because he admitted to Mark and Faye on that recorded conversation that Matt was always careful with drug doses. The reasoning Atkins gave to concealing Matt's death was because he believed people would think badly of him for not looking after his partner. After this information is given, a search begins focusing on the Royal National Park in Waterfall for Matthew Leverson's remains. Atkins states that Matt is buried there. The search for Matt's remains begins November 10th when Michael Atkins is taken to the location to show police where he had buried Matt. It was a large-scale search that focused on the Royal National Park. The area is known as Kurunga Track, Mikel Avenue, Waterfall. Unfortunately, after covering 4,000 square metres, nothing was found, so the search ended on the 17th of November. Another search took place between the 9th and 10th of January 2017, however no remains were found. In March of the same year, Atkins returns to the site, per request of police. He was accompanied by a psychologist who engaged in a relaxation-induced session to try and find Matt's remains. Sadly, there was no luck. On May 25, 2017, police resumed the search as Atkins tries to recreate when he took Matt's body to the site. He carried a 70-kilo mannequin to the site. It was learnt that Matt's body must have been within 15 metres from the road because of how hard it was to carry the mannequin through the bush. With just 1 hour to go before the search was officially ended, Matthew Levison's skeletal remains were found on the 31st of May 2017. Police had been to the area numerous times, but it just so happened that they'd walked past a cabbage tree palm countless times and hadn't moved it. The palm was located roughly 15 metres from the car park. Along with finding Matt's remains, they discovered the sole of a shoe and a label from the singlet and pants Matt had worn to Ark. The Leversons take the tree that Matt was buried under and plant it in their yard. Let's listen to the announcement.
Last year there was an inquest into the death of Matthew Leveson. As a result of information that flowed from that inquest, we commenced searching for Matthew Leveson's remains in the National Park here. We've conducted 3 extensive searches. The last search in this location commenced on the 22nd of May. Yesterday afternoon at 2:30 p.m, we located what we believe to be human remains. We've now carried out extensive forensic examinations of those remains. It's a human skeleton. We believe the remains are that of Matthew Leveson. I can't say that with 100% confidence until we get the forensic examinations carried out, but the circumstances in which we've found these remains lead us to believe that they are Matthew Leveson's.
We'd like to firstly thank you all for your interest, because this helps get the message out there to the people of what's happened to us over the last nearly 10 years. And we've got to thank a number of people as well. The extensive efforts put in by the police to search this site. I mean, after we finish speaking to you now, I'd ask you to turn your lenses across to the area behind us and look on both sides of the hill here and see the extensive work that the police have done, how far they've searched and dug over the last 20 days, 8 days in November, 4 days at the other crime scene in January, and again 8 days here. So 20 days of searching has been done. We've got to thank the staff from National Parks who have been working excavators, and from the commercial company as well. We've got to thank the coroner. Our Honour Truscott was here last night and came to see this scene as well. We have to thank family and friends, and again, I must say all of you, because of your support, it helps push the message out there that people know what this person has done to our son.
Look, I can't comment on what will happen. The matter's still before the coroner, so it would be inappropriate for me to make any comment. What I can say is, in relation to the scene here, that we will continue our examination tomorrow, possibly even into a third day. It's been an extensive examination of what we've recovered here, and
DNA analysis confirms remains are Matt's. Some bones remain missing. The forensic pathologist could not state a cause of death and has to record it as undetermined. Both Mark and Faye believe Michael Atkins either smothered or choked Matt to death. Upon the conclusion of the inquest, Magistrate Elaine Truscott finds the evidence does not support a finding as to the cause of death or manner of death of Michael John Leverson. There was simply insufficient evidence to show how or why Matthew Leveson died. Magistrate Elaine Truscott does state Atkins told a plethora of lies, which does give rise to a considerable degree of suspicion that Mr. Atkins had some connection with Matt's death, apart from the fact that he buried Matt's body. However, it does not follow from that degree of suspicion that I can find that Mr. Atkins was involved in any acts that were causative to Matt's death. Unfortunately, double jeopardy laws means that Atkins couldn't be charged again with Matt's murder. Whilst the Leverson family now had Matt back, they were without justice for their son's murder. After the inquest, Mark said, "There's some relief, there's some frustration, there's some anger, and there's lots of emotions going through us, but relief's one of the ones right now." On March 9th, 2018, 10 years after Matt's death, his funeral takes place in a sea of purple. The service was a colourful celebration that Mark didn't want anyone to be sad about. He said, "We have waited for this day for 10 years. Matt was finally home and at peace." I think it's important to note that there were a lot of missteps in the handling of this case by police. It wasn't known until the inquest that Michael Atkins had returned to ARC an hour after he and Matt had left. No one had reviewed the CCTV footage. No police went to the Coles Express station looking for CCTV footage either, even though food wrappings from there were discovered in the front of the car. None of this was known at trial. A lot of crucial information was missing at trial, which possibly could have made a difference in the verdict. I refuse to focus on Michael Atkins and what he is up to now, but instead on the Leverson family. This video is dedicated to them, to Matthew's parents, Mark and Faye, who tirelessly worked at bringing their son home. They had to make the horrific decision between bringing home their son's remains or seeking justice against their son's murderer. No parent should ever be in that situation. I am amazed at your strength, your courage, and your sheer determination. I know Matt would be so proud and so honoured to be your son. Thank you everyone for watching this week's True Crime Spotlight on Matthew Leveson and the man who got away with murder. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you all next week when we cover a new case. Until then, bye for now.